crickets and a billion Indians. It's the remarkable story of Indian cricket.
So one fellow comes as close as possible to Clive, maybe about, 10 inches, and he says, "I know who you are." And he says, "You're the boxing promoter, Don King."
But life was easy, Clive, wasn't it? When he had those 4 fast bowlers, he just turned it off 5 overs, next.
Greg Chappell came to Lancashire, and we probably would give up our lockers for them, and I unfortunately left the bat.
He took your lockers as well.
Saurav tells me when he was opening his shirt at Lord's, you were telling him, Kolo Lakshman was telling him, don't open.
I saw him doing it, and I was about to do the same, but Rahul, thankfully, he was standing next to me. I said, don't do it. And he grabbed my shirt and he let me do it. Thank you, Rahul, for doing that.
You know, when I was here in London about 2.5 weeks back for the Lord's ODI, and we were planning this event at that point in time, and I happened to meet Clive Lloyd at a foundation dinner. Clive and I go back a long way. I know him for 2 decades. We stayed together in Oxford for 3 days when I did the ICC conference, and I have great memories. At 1:30 a.m. in the morning, Clive tells me, "I want beer." So where do I take Clive? I mean, I said, the only place where I can get you alcohol, Clive, at 1:30 is the student van called the Kebab Van. So Clive, myself, Bishan Singh Bedi, and Harun Logat, at that point in time, the ICC CEO, 4 of us are going. 4 guys, totally inebriated, suddenly just advance to us, and I'm like, will they mug us? So one fellow comes as close as possible to Clive, maybe about 10 inches, and he says, "I know who you are." And he says, "You're the boxing promoter, Don King." And Bishan Singh Bedi just takes off from there. Takes off. But ladies and gentlemen, twice World Cup winner, one only person to win Test series in every cricketing country of the world. We use the term legend loosely, but a real legend of the game. Absolute delight. One of my childhood heroes. Put your hands together for Clive Lloyd. And someone who has, 400 Test wickets is an absolute legend. Someone about who Sachin says he's never seen anybody bowl better in the 2000 series against Australia. India got 33 wickets in that series. Harbhajan Singh got 30, and the rest got 3, or something like that. So that's Harbhajan Singh for you. Thank you very much. Deep, serious pleasure. 1992-3, when I was growing up, television had come, but we were still listening to radio. And one man was The Voice. I would listen to him all the time. Very dear friend of mine from day one, backed this book. Thank you very much, Harsha Bhogle. We are all talking about cricketing stories, and Phil Simmons not only as a player, as a batsman, as an opening batsman, or anything for West Indies, but even currently, if there is any story in world cricket which actually can give you goosebumps, it is the Afghanistan story. And it tells you sport is far beyond the 22 yards. And the man who's crafting that revolution, tremendous work. Thank you, Phil Simmons. I keep asking myself why he retired. He's one of my favorites, average of 57, more than Sachin Tendulkar's Test match average. Put your hands together for the best wicketkeeper batsman of our generation, Kumar Sangakkara. Finally, he's of this book who I celebrate. Someone asked me, what does Sourav Ganguly mean to you? And I said, 1947, it was political independence. 1983, it was sporting independence of a very different kind. But that NatWest Trophy final and the 144 that Sourav got against Australia in Australia was socio-cultural independence on the sporting field and India's third tryst with destiny in a way. Deep privilege. Thank you, Sourav Ganguly. So can we have on stage Clive Lloyd, Sourav Ganguly and Harsha Bhogle. Harsha, you go first. Is the Clive Lloyd team the best that you've seen in terms of cricket?
Have you seen how big he is? Now, quite apart from Clive Lloyd, the captain, I think the world of cricket owes him a huge debt for that 100 in the World Cup final. Quite apart from the leadership. There was a feeling that the West Indies, and I know that he hates that the West Indies have been fun cricketers. Calypso, reggae, they just want to go out and have fun. And under Clive Lloyd, they didn't have fun. They just demolished everybody else. Maybe they had fun, but the others didn't.
Today, Clive actually told me 16 years, that someone who was 16 years old if he was born, and till the time he turned 16, he did not see a West Indies loss. So I was like, what? He said for 16 years, no one saw a West Indian loss.
I think a lot of players would have become better players because Clive Lloyd was captain.
So you've been one of the greatest leaders, or to me still the best leader to have led India. When you look at Clive Lloyd's leadership, that team, to get all of the the best 11 or the best to come out of all those champions, can you talk about that?
Well, life was easy, Clive, wasn't it? When you have those 4 fast bowlers, you just turn it off 5 overs, next, and if anybody gets injured, there's one quicker sitting outside.
The point is that it's not only fast bowlers. If you notice that when we started, we didn't have 4 fast bowlers. You have to develop, and the point is you have to work hard to get that together. First thing I think I told Borat today, that what you had to have is trust, because if they didn't trust you, they're not going to play for you. And then you have to start winning, because winning, just like losing, is contagious. When I took over the captaincy, we were broke. We didn't have a cent. When we won the World Cup, we were back in the black. When we won, we now can say to the bigger countries, we would like more money because we're coming to you as champions.
You ask captains across generations, what is the one leadership quality you must possess, and he used the word here, trust and honesty.
Yes, well, it is. Well, here was Malcolm Marshall with a broken arm, and we were sitting down the day before a test match, and I just foolishly said, you think you can play? He said, would you like me to play? And this guy, we strapped it up with his hand, and he played. He got 5 wickets. He batted with one hand and helped Larry Gomes to 100. How many captains that you know, with a guy with a broken hand would just decide, well, listen, I'd like you to play tomorrow. And that's the sort of trust we had with one another, the love for what we were doing. Because, as Gordon Greenidge said, that when you were captain in the West Indies, you were more important than any one prime minister. When you're captain in the West Indies, you're making decisions for 5 million people.
Sort of. He was making decisions for 5 million people. You were making decisions for 1 billion people.
And obviously, I've never had much interactions with Clive regarding captaincy, because he was the match referee when I was captain, and we used to be scared of him.
Oh yes, that's right. Did I find you?
Many times, but the best part was he would fine you and say, don't do it again. That was a cricketer being a match referee, and what he very rightly said was trust. It's very important in a team. Your players should know that you think about them and you'll give them the right justice, which is very, very important, because at that level, players are very sensitive.
Okay, so let me go specific. Australia, 16 test wins. 18, 19-year-old, not the best career. Wankhede, 3.5 days, good night and thank you, coming to Kolkata. How do you trust him?
Because there was ability in Harbhajan and even in Wankhede. I thought he bowled the best of all the other bowlers. Bowlers felt like 9 pins on the series. We lost Srinath after the first test. We lost Kumble after the first test. He didn't even play the first test. So, and I remember going into the third test 1-all, and he was the only bowler I attacked with throughout the test match. His job was to pick wickets. So he was picking 13 in a test match, 14 in a test match, and we won it. He was a terrific competitor. Even Anil was the same. It was hard to take balls away from them and give it to someone. So I was also blessed with some great players, as every one of them. Sehwag, Rahul, Sachin, myself, VVS, him, Anil, all went on to play 100 test matches. That means for over a period of 10, 11 years.
Match cricket.
I don't think the problem with test cricket is cricket at all. I think it's a civilization problem. I think it's a passage of time. It's what 20-year-olds want to do today. I don't think the competition for cricket is T20 cricket. The competition for cricket is Netflix.
But Lords will still be packed. MCG will still be
May
packed.
England always be that way. Australia will be for the Boxing Day test match. Australia will be when India go there. Australia will be when England go there. But Australia will not be when Sri Lanka or Zimbabwe or an island go there.
But Tendulkar's retirement series half ground. Eden Gardens sort of has done transform the ground almost.
I think there's far too many people who love test cricket talking about the future of test cricket, rather than asking people who are not in test cricket what they think about test cricket.
Are you worried about test cricket?
I think there are a few solutions to test cricket, and which gives me a feeling that it'll be back. Test matches have to be more meaningful. And I think the ICC Test Championship starting from 2020 is a great way forward. I think it will bring back Test cricket. Also accessibility and the fun factor in stadiums. That has to be sorted out. day-night test cricket. That's the way forward. Sitting in the hot sun for 6-7 hours is not anybody's choice anymore. We keep saying it's the best format of the game, but we don't market it, don't look at it. It's also the scheduling. I have hosted 4 test matches as president. People in the city will not get to know when is a test match. Either you're watching Star Sports all the time, they keep coming a week before that. Test match at Eden Gardens, test match at Nagpur, test match at Mumbai.
Everyone knows there is a test match Boxing Day. I will plan. Summer, England Lords, I will plan. India, we don't even know that. Okay. Clive?
To me, T20 is an exhibition. Test cricket is an examination. If we want to promote Test cricket, we have to put more money into it. 1 year
down the line, this country will host the 50 over World Cup. Not too long ago, we were in doubt about the future of the 50 over game as well. Are you sort of fearful of that? And secondly, now India, you keep telling me every time I speak to you that Virat Kohli will get people back to watching cricket. Are you still of that view? I mean, is it about sort of players and champions and characters like that will bring people back?
It is, but it's not just about Virat Kohli. The teams have dropped as well. If you go around the world, you'll see 3 or 4 cricketers who you can say that they're right up there. But 10 years ago, you go around teams in the world, they were superstars and successful cricketers in every team.
Clive, you have the last word.
Before he finishes, I have a question for him. What did that back foot do when you played fast bowlers?
I looked at it the other day, I think with Charles Colville. I never realized that my foot came up that much, because it's just something that happened, really. I normally hit the ball in the middle.
And when I was 7-year-old, I think slightly older, 9, you had come to Eden Gardens to play a test match. And my father was obsessed with the game. And he picked a bat from you.
Really?
He picked a bat from you and it had 6 crips, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And you used 5 or 6 crips, and the bat, I said I'd use it after 6-7 years because it was so heavy. Now, how did you manage to play fast bowling with such a heavy bat? And
what they had, the handles were so thin. If you look at my fingers, they're very long. So the bats, we used to spin around in mine. So I would put on rubber so that I can be able to grip it. So it was never a heavy bat.
Maybe I was weak. Maybe these arms were weak.
But don't forget, Greg Chappell came to Lancashire, and we probably would give up our lockers for them. And I unfortunately left a bat.
He took your lockers as well. You should have told me. I would have lended him my bat and probably would have lasted longer.
Fantastic. On that note, put your hands together. Harsha Bhogle, Clive Lloyd and Saurav Ganguly. Saurav tells me when he was opening his shirt at Lord's, you were telling him, Kolo, Lakshman was telling him, don't open.
I saw him doing it and I was about to do the same. But Rahul, thankfully, he was standing next to me and said, don't do it. And he grabbed my shirt and he let me do it. Thank you, Rahul, for doing that.
I actually remember watching him, and I remember Freddie Flintoff in India doing that after a series win, and Dada has a long memory and he doesn't forget easily. So I think that opportunity was very welcome.
Can we please have on stage Harbhajan Singh, Kumar Sangakkara and Phil Simmons. Bajji, I'll start with you. We keep talking about pressures of test match cricket. You were an 18, 19-year-old Australian team. How did you do? What did you do? What was your mindset going into that series? And as it progressed, did you put pressure on yourself? Third test match, by then Australia knew that you were the only one who was sort of winning India the test matches. Talk about that series.
Well, on that series, it was quite simple. I was out of the team, and Saurav was the one who actually backed me. I played that trial game, whatever may it be called, against Australia, and I took 3 wickets in the first inning, and Lakshman was the captain. And Saurav was the one, he told VVS that don't bowl Bajji in the second inning because I want to play him in the first test, which I was not aware of. Being a captain, he backed me when I was on the verge of my career, whether play cricket or not, or do something else. So he backed me at that point of time.
Is that the best you've ever bowled?
Definitely. I don't know what was the reason. I tried bowling the same way, but I never got the same results. But maybe God was listening to me from very near. So That series, I didn't look at the batsmen's faces, to be honest. I just bowled the way I bowled, and things were happening for me. I could spin the ball from outside off, and that's exactly they asked me to do. And they made me practice for a month or so, with great John Wright, watching me all over, and thing happened for me. And because thing happened for me, it happened for India.
Paji, second question to you before I go to Kumar and Phil. Saurav tells me when he was opening his shirt at Lord's, you were telling him, Kholo, Lakshman was telling him, don't open. Is that true? Were you telling him, yes, go ahead and open?
No, I didn't. The way he was going about his shirt and stuff, and I saw him doing it, and I was about to do the same. But Rahul, thankfully, he was standing next to me and said, don't do it. And he grabbed my shirt and he let me do it. Thank you, Rahul, for doing that. Otherwise, I would have been another Salman Khan like Rahul. So after Salman Khan, he's the only one who opened the shirt.
Saurav keeps telling me every time I ask him that question that I've also got a couple of hundreds. My name is on the honours board. Why don't you ask me about that? I mean, don't only ask me about the shirt.
I actually remember watching him, and I remember Freddie Flintoff in India doing that after a series win, and it was not looked upon as blasphemy when he did it in India, but when Saurav did, at least for a while, some, I think, tried to make it out as blasphemy, but there are a lot of people around the world, not just Indians, who were proudly applauding Saurav, because I know Dada has a long memory and he doesn't forget easily, so I think that opportunity was very welcome after a very, very, a fantastic one-day game.
But Kumar, coming to you, why did you leave when you left? Seriously, and thereafter you played county cricket, you were getting 100 after 100 after 100. Do you regret it?
No, I was asked whether I missed it when I was commentating, and I actually thought about it before I answered, and I was pleasantly surprised to discover that at no stage when I was commentating did I think, I'm sorry, I should have been out there. I think I left about 6 months too late. Pakistan were told in Sri Lanka. I had made up my mind to retire after that series. So I had just gone through a statement that I wanted to release. I was all ready, and I called my manager and said, I think this is it. This is the statement, all of that. Half an hour later, Mahela calls me and says, I'm going to release a statement tomorrow saying I'm going to retire. So I thought, really? I was going to do the same. So I thought 2 statements on a single day was going to be too much. So I said, listen, you go ahead and release your statement. I'll just make a quiet exit at the end of the series, play my last, that was going to be my last home series, and then retire in New Zealand. In the subcontinent, we're very sentimental, and we have a very, very hard time letting go of things. I was asked to play for another 2 years. I said I cannot, and then I asked the selectors, the only thing I can do is play 2 more test series. What really started me thinking about retirement was in 2013, my father called me. My father had given me, so I planned my retirement, and I took a call when I was, I think, 37.
Phil, he mentioned the word coach. How do you define the role of a coach? And coming from the Caribbean, coaching an Afghanistan cricket team, getting them to the World Cup, can you recount that journey for me?
I define coach with the Afghanistan team as trying to get them to understand the next level of international cricket. International cricket in Afghanistan has risen so quickly that a lot of them are still understanding the ins and outs of cricket itself, much less international cricket. So my job, it's mainly to get them to understand what international cricket is about and how we go about planning to play against all these big names and big teams that we play against.
Harbhajan, coming to a more optimistic issue, spin. Do you see spinners reinventing themselves as the wheel goes on? Kuldeep and Chahal for the 50-over format, doing great. India's best bet for the World Cup. Future of spin, Rashid Khan, extremely bright?
Well, spin is still there if you want to spin the ball. If you don't want to spin the ball, then you're not a spinner. And that's what is missing in T20. A lot of the spinners in modern eras, they don't look to spin the ball. They're too afraid to toss it up and test the batsman if he can come out and hit.
Along with Baji's answer is that T20 and especially T20 cricket, I think, seems to have given a new lease of life for spinners, especially wrist spinners. The detrimental effect of T20 cricket is exactly what Baji said. The inability of these spinners to flit back and forth between Test cricket and the shortest version, to understand what core strengths you need for Test cricket and what you then need to change for the shorter version. But I think Ashwin has been one bowler and Budgie another for India who's been able to make that change, to change trajectory, flight and spin depending on the format you play. That's why I think Kuldeep Yadav will be a really good spinner in all formats because he's old-fashioned, flights the ball, bowls slowly, he's unafraid to turn, he's not afraid to take some punishment. Even in T20 format, he will not quicken his pace up unless it's his last resort. So I think he's another bowler who as a wrist spinner can really make an impact in Test cricket as well.
Does India as a Test team give you hope internationally, abroad, in alien conditions, or will it be the same story?
No, we have the team definitely to go forward and change things around, but obviously we'll have to wait and watch till the time they don't do it. And they have Virat Kohli, but they need more players to stand up with them and face those challenges will come in their journey.
On that note, one question before I get them back on stage to unveil. One quick one.
What is your opinion on the newly proposed 100-ball game by the ECB, and do you think it's a format which can be sustainable in the long term, and what value does it add?
Anyone?
Cricket is one of the few sports that is so flexible in its formatting that you can change it to fit those kinds of, like what Harsha said about the Netflix generation. So the 100-ball tournament has a few issues, but it is still cricket. Why the change? It is to get a completely new audience into the game. They're trying to tweak the format a bit. The press has been very negative, but I think if they get the strategy, the rules and the methodology right, it could be something that can actually be another format of the game that will attract a new section of fans, and if they are successful doing that, then that vindicates the format in itself.
The other thing to that is that when T20 cricket came out and they had some intercities here, it was viewed in a negative way like this too by the press, and look where it's gone to. So it has sight for being another form, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Okay, on that note, put your hands together for my panel. Can Red and my publishers get me the books? Saurav, can I have you back? Clive, Harsha, can we have you back? This is our final moment before we close this function.